Good morning, Year 6. Today we're going to be moving on to our final lesson of missing angles, and we're going to be finding missing angles in a quadrilateral. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have a look at some really fantastic work from the past lesson. The two pieces of work that I've selected belong to Jehan in Oxford class and Antonella in Sheffield class. You can see both children have done an incredible job of presenting their work neatly and carefully and showing all of their calculations, as well as writing the date and WALT and using a ruler. So well done to both of these children for their absolutely fantastic work. If your work doesn't look a little bit like this, start thinking about how you can improve your work and how you can make it even neater. For those of you who think your work would be improved by working on squared paper, please remember that you can collect a squared book from the school office if you need one. Okay, we're going to move on to our morning arithmetic now. Can everyone please pause the video and try these 6 questions? If you haven't paused the video yet, please can you pause the video to try the first 6 questions, because I'm about to go through the answers. Okay, here are the answers for these 6 arithmetic questions. The only thing that might have gone wrong, perhaps here, you might have thought, because it's BIDMAS, oh, I know, I'll do this first. No, it's BIDMAS, and in the order of BIDMAS, multiplication does come first, so you still follow the order, even if that order is left to right. And finally, question 4 was not a missing number question. It was simply a question where the operation was on the other side of the equal sign. 245 add 4,356. Okay, moving on now. I'm going to ask you to have a go at these reasoning problems. Sorry, I've accidentally made them small. The challenge question is really tricky. The challenge question is really only there for those of you who really want to push yourselves. Otherwise, you can just answer these 2 reasoning questions. I'm going to read them out to you, and then I want you to pause the video and have a go. There are 480 apples in a crate. 3/5 of the apples are bad. How many good apples are there? Giving you a big clue there. And then the good apples are put into a box of 6. How many boxes can be filled? Your challenge question, and this is only for those of you who would like to have a go at it. In a class, 3/8 of the students have blonde hair. 24 students don't have blonde hair. How many are in the whole class? Okay, I'm going to ask you now to pause the video and have a go at these questions. It's really important to make sure you're being honest and showing integrity by doing the questions before you look at the answers. Right, we're going to start going through the answers now. Can I ask you to make sure you've answered all 6 of those questions, and if you haven't, please make sure you pause the video now and have a go. Okay, so in question 1, we were looking for how many good apples there are. You could either have found 3/5 of 480 and then subtracted that, because I'm not looking for the bad apples. So you could find the bad apples and then subtract them. Or you could have skipped that step and you could have said, right, if 3/5 of the apples are bad, I know in total I'll have 5/5. So that means 2/5 of them must be good. You could have then just jumped straight to finding 2/5. To find 1/5, divide by 10 and then times by 2. 1/5 then is 96. And then from there, if I'm looking for 2/5, I would just do 96 multiplied by 2, which would give me 192. 192 of the apples are good apples. Okay, now question 2 says the good apples are put into boxes of 6. How many boxes can be filled? If you didn't get the correct answer for question 1, so long as you've divided by 6 here, you were at least on the right track. But 196 divided by 6 will be equal to 32. But now time for that challenge question. If 3/8 of my students do have blonde hair, and 24 of them do not have blonde hair, my first step is to work out what fraction this is. If 3/8 are blonde, that means 5/8 are not blonde. 5/8 are equal to 24. Before I can find out the total, which will be 8/8, I will first have to find out what 1/8 is. I need to do 24 divided by 5. Again, I'm going to use my favourite method of dividing by 10 to get 2.4 and timesing by 2 to get 4.8. Okay, 1/8 is 4.8, so now I'd have to do 4.8 multiplied by 8 in order to get the total. 8 times 8 is 64, 8 times 4 is 32, add 6 is 38, 38.4 students in total. Now you've got to think to yourself and wonder, is it possible to have 38.4 students? Probably not. No, we can't have 0.4 of a student, so that would have to be rounded down to 38 students. That was a very challenging question, so well done if you got it, and don't worry if you didn't. Because we're now going to move on to today's main learning. You need to write the date and WALT on your piece of paper and then have a go at these 3 triangle questions from what we've been doing earlier in the week. There's one equilateral, one scaling and one isosceles triangle, and each of them you are looking to find the missing angles. Please, can you pause the video now and find those 3 missing angles for me? Make sure you've had a go at finding the missing angles before you press play, because I'm going to go through the answers now. In question 1, then, this is our scaling triangle. All 3 are different, so we just need to add up what we know. 70 add 50 is equal to 120, and then we subtract it from the whole. 180 take away 120 is 60 degrees. So for question 1, angle A was 60 degrees. Let's have a look at question 2 then. You can see here question 2 is an isosceles triangle. I can also see that these 2 sides are equal, which means this is my angle that's odd. I'm going to take away that angle then. 180 take away 30 will leave me with 150. That tells me these 2 matching angles make up 150, so I just need to do 150 divided by 2. I know that's going to be 75 degrees. Finally, here you can see all 3 angles are the same. If you don't remember what that means, each of the angles will be, you just need to do 180 divided by 3. All 3 are equal. And well done to those of you who remember the angles in an equilateral triangle are always 60. So those are your 3 answers for those questions: 60, 75 and 60. Moving on then. Just want to quickly recap the facts that we know so far about angles. Quickly tell yourself in your head, how many degrees are there in a right angle, in a straight line, in a triangle and around a full turn? You don't need to write it down, but you can do if you'd like to. Well done if you said that a right angle is 90 degrees, a straight line and a triangle are both equal to 100 degrees, and a full turn is 360 degrees. What do the interior angles of a square add up to? We know that one of the corners is 90 degrees because that's a right angle, and we know that a square has 4 right angles. Therefore, all we need to do is 90 times 4. I know 9 times 4 is 36, so 90 times 4 is 360. How about a rectangle? What do the interior angles of a rectangle add up to? Well, in a rectangle, again, we have 4 right angles. So the interior angles of a rectangle are also 360 degrees. You can probably tell where I'm going with this, but in fact, the interior angles of all quadrilateral, remember that's 4-sided shapes, add up to 360. So we can add that to our list of facts. We know in a right angle, there's 90 degrees, in a straight line and a triangle, 180, and in a circle and a quadrilateral, there are 360 degrees. Just like with the triangle, if you had a quadrilateral shape and you chopped off the corners and put them together, you wouldn't create a straight line, but you'd create a circle. If you want to give that experiment a go, please have a go. I'd love to see your work on Seesaw where you've done that. And trust me, this works with any 4-sided shape that has straight sides. Whether that's a rectangle, a parallelogram, or a diamond, if you chop off all of the corners, it will make a full turn of a circle. So, how do we find the missing angles of a quadrilateral? Well, it's in fact exactly the same as when we're looking for the missing angles of a triangle or the missing angles in a right angle or along a straight line. The only thing that's maybe slightly harder is the fact that when you're looking at the missing angles of a quadrilateral, there will be more angles in total, so there's more calculations to do and you might make more mistakes. Today, we're going to have this little tip at the bottom because we're going to start looking at some questions later on where you might be looking for more than one missing angle. So at the bottom it says, remember, there could be 2 different holes that you need to identify, but for now we'll stick with our 3 steps that we know. Identify the hole. This is a quadrilateral, so the hole is 360 degrees. Add up the parts that you do know. So I'm going to use the column method for this. I'm only going to be adding up to 3 numbers, so I think for most of us we'll be confident enough to do that using the column method like that. If that's tricky for you though, add them up 2 at a time. 120 add 95 like that, and then add on the final number at the bottom. It depends on how confident you are. 0 add 5 add 7 is going to be equal to 12. 1 add 2 is 3, add 9 is 12, add 8 is 20. 1 add 2 is 3. So I've identified my hole, 360, and I've added up the parts I already know. we of course now know our final step is to subtract that from the whole. 360 subtract 302. If you can do that in your head, absolutely fine, but make sure you still write down what calculation you did. The answer for this one will be 58 degrees. Let's have a look at another question then. I can see that this shape has 4 sides. That tells me it's a quadrilateral, so my whole is 360 degrees. It doesn't matter what 4-sided shape it is. If I add up the sides of if I add up the angles of a 4-sided shape, it will be equal to 360. Next step is to add up the parts you know. This time I'm going to do it in 2 steps to show you how you would do that. 155 add 55. 5 add 5 is 10. 5 add 5 is 10, add 1 is 11. And 1 add 1 is 2. Now I'm going to add on my third one, which is 50 degrees. That will take me to 260 degrees. So you can see this takes a little bit longer, but it's much, much more accurate for those of you who aren't feeling confident with adding up 3 numbers in your heads. Okay, we're now doing 360, take away 260 degrees, which is of course equal to 100 degrees. This missing angle here was 100 degrees. Right. It's your turn now. I would like you to find this missing angle, angle X. On your piece of paper, write down question number 1, pause the video and find angle X using my 3 steps. Off you go. Make sure you've had a go at doing this question by yourself. Well done to all of you who spotted this right angle down here. Okay, when you see that square, remember that means 90 degrees. So you were doing 70 degrees, add 50 degrees, add 90 degrees. Again, it's up to you whether you do that in 2 or 1 step. 0 add 0 add 0 is 0. 7 add 5 is equal to 12. Add 9 is equal to 21. So in total there, we've got 210 degrees. Now I need to remember that my whole is 360 as it's a quadrilateral, and I'm taking away 210. That leaves me 150 degrees for angle X. Remember, these drawings are not drawn to scale. That's because we don't want you just to get a protractor out to measure the angles. We want you to specifically use this subtraction method. Well done if you got 150 degrees. There's one more fact that you need to know, and that is the opposite angles inside of a parallelogram are equal. If you can't remember what a parallelogram is, this is an example of a parallelogram. I'm going to show you a couple of other different shaped parallelograms just to make sure we're all on the same page in terms of what a parallelogram is. A parallelogram is any quadrilateral shape. Sorry, give me 1 second. A parallelogram is a quadrilateral shape that has no right angles but 2 pairs of parallel sides. You can see here there are no right angles, but that side, the left, the horizontal and the vertical sides are parallel with each other. I'm going to draw a different parallelogram now. You can see no right angles, but the pairs of parallel sides are clearly there. Not all parallelograms will be sitting that way up. Sometimes they might be twisted around like that. But you just have to recognize that you've got 2 pairs of parallel sides and no right angles. So in a parallelogram, the opposite sides are equal. That means angle A here is the same as angle A up here. It also means that angle B here will always be the same as angle B. So let's look at this question then. This question says angle A is 42 degrees. That means this is 42 degrees and this is 42 degrees. I need to find out angle B. This is going to be a little bit trickier because there's going to be a couple of steps, just like yesterday with our isosceles triangles. First, I need to add up what I already know, which is 42 degrees and 42 degrees. Those are both of the angles A, giving me 84 degrees. Now I need to do 360, the total, take away the A's. So let's take away 84 degrees. That will give me, 276 degrees. That tells me both B's are equal to 276 degrees. Do you know what my final step will be? Can anyone work it out? 2 B's are equal to 276. How do I find 1 B by itself? Well done if you're now saying I need to do 276 divided by 2 to find one of them by themselves. 2's into 2 is 1, 2's into 7 is 3, we group 1, 2's into 16 is equal to 8. That tells me that this angle B is 138 degrees and this is 138 degrees. I'm going to show you another one just like that in order to help you, because I know that was a bit trickier. If I know that this angle here is 110 degrees straight away without any other calculations, I can work out another one of these angles. Which one can you work out immediately without doing any calculation? Well done if you said angle Z. Angle Z is equal to 110 degrees too. So what we need to do now is add up these two matching angles. That's 110 times by 2, which is 220. Sorry, 220 degrees. Okay, now to find what the two other angles are, what I need to do is 360 take away 220. I'm getting rid of my matching angles. That will give me 140 degrees. But be careful, they're not both worth 140 degrees each. That would be too much. If I had 210, add 140, add 140, that's clearly going over my 360 limit. Two of them is equal to 140, so each of them would be just 70 degrees each. 140 divided by 2. I want you to have a go then at this parallelogram question. Remember, finding angle C will be easy, but in order to find angle B, you need to remember there are two angle B's and I just want one of them. Have a go now, please, at finding angle B and angle C. It's time to pause the video and have a go by yourself. Don't worry if you're finding this tricky. This is quite a tricky example, but it's important that you have a go by yourself so that you can see if you could be able to have a go at it later independently. So please do pause the video and have a go. Right, I'm going to go through the answers now. Hopefully you all automatically spotted that I know angle C is straight away equal to 63 degrees. Okay, remember in a parallelogram, opposite angles are equal. Okay, so now let's find out what both of those are equal to together. That's 63 times by 2, which we know is 126. In order to find the angle B's then, all I need to do is 360 degrees take away 126. That will be 234. But remember, that is the same as 2 B's. So if you've stopped there, you just missed your final steps. If 2 B's are 234, to find one by itself, you just need to do 234 divided by 2. 117 degrees. Well done if you got 117 degrees. There's quite a lot of steps there. If you found this question challenging, just go back and rewatch the video where we did the other examples, because there's one parallelogram question later in your independent work and it's basically exactly the same. Okay, we're now going to move on and have a look at some of these tricky questions here. In these questions, we're missing more than one piece of information, so there's going to be 2 steps in order to find our missing angle. I'm looking for angle B. I can see angle B is one of my angles in a quadrilateral. So I know I'm going to use more than one fact. I'm going to use the fact that there's 360 degrees in a quadrilateral. But in order to find one angle in a quadrilateral, I need to know the other 3. I have this interior angle, I have this interior angle, I'm missing that one. What fact would I use to work out that missing angle there? I'm going to give you a clue. Oops, I don't want that highlighter. I'm going to give you a clue. It's going to be using another fact that we know. Well done. I'm going to use angles around a point. I know this full circle is 360 degrees. This exterior part here is 343. So to find the interior angle of this section, I just need to subtract the 2 of those. That would give me 17 degrees. Now I know that that inside angle is 17 degrees, I'm just going to use my other fact, which is angles in a quadrilateral, to find missing angle B. I'm going to add up all 3 of these interior angles. So that's 17, add 23, add 112. So that would be equal to 12. 1 add 1 is 2, add 2 is 4, add 1 is 5, 152 degrees. Okay, my final step though, that's the total of all of these interior angles. To find B, I need to do a subtraction. 360 degrees in a quadrilateral, take away the other 3 angles, which is 152 degrees, and you'll be left with that missing angle there. So that's 10 take away 2 is 8, 5 take away 5 is 0, and 3 take away 1 is 2. 208 degrees. Some of you might be finding this a bit tricky. Don't worry, this is a bit tricky. This is our final lesson on missing angles, and this is the bit where it does start to get quite challenging. If you are finding it tricky, just remember to go slowly, and remember only half of the questions will be this hard. The rest of them will just be normal quadrilateral questions. Okay, let's have a look at this one then. I'm looking for angle B, which is an angle in a quadrilateral. There's nothing else around B that can help me. It's not part of a straight line. It's not part of a circle. But what fact will I need to find out first before I can find B? I'm going to have to find this missing angle in the quadrilateral first. What fact can help me with that missing line there? Can you see any other fact apart from angles in a quadrilateral? Can you see something else that will help me? Well done if you spotted angles on a straight line here. Okay, angles on a straight line we know is equal to 180 degrees. So I need to do 180 degrees, take away 64 degrees to find that missing interior angle. It's 116 degrees. Now I know that's 116 degrees, I can easily find angle B. I just needed to find this one first. So I'm going to add up all of my interior angles, 121, add 116, add 43. Okay, 1 add 6 add 3 is 10, 2 add 3 is 7, add 4, sorry, 2 add 1 is 3, add 4 is 7, add 1 is 8, and 1 add 1 is 2. 280 degrees will be this, this, and this. So to find my missing one, what is that final step I'm going to have to do? Can you remember? Well done. It's 360 degrees, take away 280. My final step is to use that fact, angles in a quadrilateral. My missing angle is 80 degrees. These questions here are kind of a bit like puzzles. You've got to find the missing pieces that you need before you can find the one that you're actually being asked for. I'm going to ask you to have a go at this question. You're actually looking for angle A. But I've given you a clue. Before you find angle A, you'll have to use another fact to find this angle. Once you've found that one, then you can find angle A. It's a bit tricky, but have a go. See if you can get it. These are really hard questions and they're meant to be really hard, so don't worry too much if you can't do them. But it's important to stretch yourself and have a go. Pause the video and have a go at solving this question, please, if you haven't already. Oops. Okay, so the first thing you needed to do was find this missing angle. It's inside of a quadrilateral and you can see I've got 1, 2, 3 of the other angles. So it's a simple missing quadrilateral angle. I will do 71, add 111, add 104. 1 add 1 add 4 is 6, 7 add 1 is 8, 1 add 1 is 2. Okay, I've added up everything I know. Now I need to subtract from the whole. 360, take away 286. Gonna have to regroup here. 74 degrees. This angle is 74 degrees. If you didn't stop there, well done, because you were actually looking for angle A. What fact do you need to be able to solve that question there? What is angle A? Well done if you identified angles on a straight line. 180 degrees on a straight line. Take away the part you know, which is now 74. We've worked that out, and we're left with 106 degrees. Angle A was 106 degrees. If you got that, wow, well done. That was actually really challenging work, probably year 8 level. So if you got that question, I'm really impressed. It's time for you to have a look at your independent work then. If you've got the sheet of paper, you can look at it through that. But if you're going to do it on the video, please make sure you're looking at each question one by one. These are not all of the questions, and there are some more questions. And as we go through, I'll tell you which ones are challenging and which ones you might be able to skip. In this first group of questions, which everyone needs to have a go at solving, just remember your fact about parallelograms. Opposite angles are equal, and remember there's 2 the same here, so you might have to do some division. So pause the video and try these 8 questions, but remember that's not the end of this lesson. There's some other questions to have a go at too. But here are your first 8 questions where you're simply remembering a quadrilateral has a total of 360 degrees. Right, for those of you who fancy it, and hopefully now this is most of you because you're feeling confident, you're going to solve these 3 questions. You should only skip these 3 questions if you really have got to the end of what you're capable of doing and you're really, really stuck. Because actually in these 3 questions, I've given you a little clue about how to find your missing angle by telling you which angle you should find first. So for question 9, for example, first you need to find A, and once you've found A, you'll be able to find B. For question 10, you need to find this missing angle. Once you've found that one, you'll be able to find B. Same for question 11, just find the missing one in order to find C. So remember all of your facts, pause the video and have a go at these 3 questions. They're not actually that hard and you should definitely have a go unless you've reached the point where you're really frustrated and you can't keep on going. For those of you who are feeling incredibly confident, I've also got you these 2 reasoning questions. I'm going to read them to you, and if you want to have a go, pause the video and try and answer them. They're not actually that challenging, and they're just a different type of question where you're going to have to answer them with words. Here's question 1. Miss Love has a quadrilateral. She has measured 2 of the angles. They are 30 degrees and 120 degrees. She thinks that the shape could be a parallelogram. Could she be correct? Remember to explain your answer in full. All you need to do for this question is remember that fact you know about parallelograms. Opposite sides are, yeah, that's the one. Okay, question 2 says, Miss Graham says she can work out angle A, which is this one down here, this tiny one in there, if she knows that angle B, this one up here, is 70 degrees. If she knows that this angle all the way over here is 70 degrees, she can work out this angle here. Am I correct? Explain how I would do it. Can you find what angle A is? So just explain what information I would need to know and what I would need to do. Okay, so if you want to try those questions, pause the video and have a go. I'm going to go through the answers now to the other questions. The way that I've gone through the answers, if I've broken it down into your addition and your subtraction steps so you can work out exactly where you went wrong. For example, in question 1, you had to do 90 degrees, add 90 degrees, add 75 degrees, which was 225, and then subtract that from 360 to get 105 degrees. So I should really see you marking both your addition step and your subtraction step. No one should have been trying to solve these questions in their head, so I should see where you've done all of your calculations. If when I'm looking at your work, I see exactly this written out, I'm going to be quite suspicious because I don't think everyone in year 6 is capable of doing these calculations in their head. I certainly didn't. So please make sure that you're being honest and showing integrity and you're not just copying out my answers. Here are the answers to the next 4 questions, and actually question 7 was your easiest question if you remembered one thing. A rhombus is the same kind of shape, or it's a special type of parallelogram. Just like a square is a special type of rectangle, a rhombus is a special type of parallelogram. That means you were just looking for the opposite angle, 146. Okay, for those of you who tried the slightly more challenging ones, first, this number 9 was probably the hardest. First, you had to find angle A by doing a subtraction from 180. Angle A was 93 degrees. Then what you had to do is find out 2 A's was 186, subtract that from 360 to get 174. That was both of the B's, divide it by 2 to get 87. That was quite tricky. For this one here, you needed to find this missing angle, which was 90, add 90, add 41 is 221. Take that away from 360 is 139. But then remember, you're looking at a straight line to find angle B. If you just stopped at 139, you found this angle, but not angle B. And then finally, for the last one, very, very similar, you needed to find this angle is 59 and then subtract that from your straight line fact. Okay, if you had to go at the reasoning, I'm going to go through it now. Miss Love said that it's a quadrilateral. Well, opposite angles in a quadrilateral are equal. That means if I've got one angle that's 30 degrees, I need to have 2 angles that are 30 degrees. And if one of my angles is 120, both of them will need to be 120. So 30 add 30 is 60, 120 add 120 is 240. Let's add that up. That's 300 degrees. Could it be possible a parallelogram has a total of 300 degrees? No, because all quadrilaterals have 360 degrees in their interior angles. Again, this should really be written in a sentence. Finally, question 2, Miss Graham says that she can work out angle A if she knows that angle B is 70 degrees. Is she correct? Yeah, absolutely. If angle B is 70 degrees, this is a parallelogram, so angle E is also 70 degrees. You can see this is a right angle, which is 90 degrees, and this is a straight line. 180 degrees from the straight line, take away 90, take away 70 degrees. 180 take away 90 leaves you with 90, take away 70 and you've got 20 degrees. Well done if you said angle A was 20 degrees. Okay, that's the last of my questions. Please don't forget to upload your work onto Seesaw, however far you got through the challenges. It's wonderful to see everyone's fantastic work each day, and please don't forget to put it on Seesaw. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow for another maths lesson. Thank you. Bye.